$80,000. That's the price of a Jeep Wagoneer, a vehicle Jeep touted as the future of the brand. But what buyers actually got was a disaster. Water leaks straight off the assembly line, steering problems after just a few miles, and factory workers who now openly admit they knew something was seriously wrong during production. Yet nobody was willing to stop the line. What looks like one bad vehicle is really a symptom of a much bigger problem. The story behind it runs deeper than most people realize, and it affects far more than just Jeep. How did Jeep, once the maker of iconic American vehicles, end up shipping cars with factory defects? The answer goes beyond any single model or brand. It lies in the strategy of a billion-dollar corporation that industry insiders simply describe as complete and utter chaos. Many longtime Jeep customers wanted to stay loyal to the brand and saw the new Wagoneer as the natural next step. But the moment they compared it side by side with older models, doubt started creeping in. A nearly 12-year-old Grand Cherokee is built from real sheet steel. The new Wagoneer, by contrast, is plastic all the way through. Jeep has been building American vehicles since 1941, but in 2021, the brand became part of a new global corporation. The merger of FCA and Peugeot created the world's fourth largest automaker, Stellantis. Auto experts describe it as three semi-dysfunctional national car makers forced under one roof: Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep from North America, Fiat from Italy, and the French brands Peugeot and Citroën thrown into the mix. From the outside, the Wagoneer's launch looked like any other product rollout, but it marked a turning point in how Jeep vehicles would be built under Stellantis going forward. Factory workers who lived through the transition all tell the same story. After the Stellantis takeover, resources were cut immediately. Money became the only priority. Behind that strategy stands one man, Carlos Tavares. He trained under a highly charismatic executive named Carlos Ghosn, best known for his dramatic escape from house arrest in Japan in 2019. But before that, Ghosn was known for something else entirely: relentless cost-cutting. As Ghosn's protege, Tavares quickly built a reputation for turning around struggling brands and delivering strong returns to shareholders. Tavares made his vision for Stellantis clear from day one: efficiency at almost any cost. Cost-cutting, he declared, was no longer off the table. Customers wanted affordability, and he would deliver it. The first target was production. So-called time studies were introduced at the plants. Engineers broke down every step of the process and asked whether one person could handle the same job alone. The result? Hundreds of positions were eliminated. Individual plants shrank from nearly 1,000 workers to fewer than 600. In just the first 3 years as a combined company, Stellantis cut roughly 40,000 jobs worldwide. One of the most painful moves in the US was the closure of a plant that had been running since the 1960s, the Stellantis facility in Belvidere. It was a devastating blow to the region. More than 2,500 people had worked there. Local businesses, barbers, restaurants, gas stations lost a massive portion of their customer base overnight. At the Warren Truck Assembly Plant, where the Wagoneer is built, the workforce today is half the size it was in 2022. But for Stellantis, the cuts paid off, at least on paper. Profit margins soared during the pandemic. In 2023, Stellantis posted an $18 billion profit and paid out nearly $7 billion to shareholders, 53% more than the year before. Tavares himself took home nearly $40 million, 479 times the average worker's pay. Aside from Elon Musk, that made him the highest paid auto executive in the world. Workers wanted their share of that success too. In 2023, union members at Ford, GM, and Stellantis went on strike and won unprecedented concessions, including a commitment to reopen the Belvidere plant. For a moment, it looked like Stellantis would have to walk back its austerity strategy and start investing in its people. But that moment was short-lived. Stellantis hadn't just been slashing costs, it had also been aggressively raising prices. If you enjoy videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe. It helps us reach our goal of 10,000 subscribers. Thank you. By 2024, Jeep's prices were no longer below the industry average. They were $6,000 above it. During the pandemic, when cars were scarce, that worked. Once the market normalized, it didn't. Insiders within the company now admit it was a mistake. When post-COVID demand dried up, Stellantis vehicles were suddenly the most expensive on the market. That was never going to end well. Stellantis held the line on prices, and customers walked away. Inventory days, the time a vehicle sits on a dealer's lot before it sells, exploded. For Stellantis models, that number climbed to 140 or even 150 days. The backlog on the Ram pickup was so severe, it couldn't even be represented on internal charts anymore. Vehicles that were once affordable for everyday middle-class Americans are now out of reach for many. On social media, the frustration is boiling over. Customers can't wrap their heads around what Stellantis charges or what they get for it. But this was a calculated move. Stellantis wanted to push into the high-margin luxury segment with models like the Wagoneer, rather than sticking with the no-frills Jeep lineup that had served American drivers for decades. A Grand Cherokee cost around $46,000 in 2014. The 2022 Wagoneer was listed at $80,000, nearly double. At that price point, customers expect a vehicle that delivers. The reality has fallen far short. Online forums and YouTube comments are packed with reports of tires worn down to nothing on the outside after just 15,000 miles, infotainment systems that take an eternity to load, rattles coming from the dashboard, and steering vibrations at highway speeds. These are problems you wouldn't tolerate in any new car, let alone one that costs $80,000. Reports from inside the plants tell the same story. Cheaper materials, dropping standards. Some vehicles roll off the line looking like they've already spent 7 years on the road. The ruthless cost-cutting that had made Stellantis look so impressive was now coming back to bite them. Efficiency as a corporate goal makes sense, but not when your own product quality is the casualty. Industry observers are unanimous. That approach simply isn't sustainable long-term. Yet, instead of correcting course, Stellantis seemed to push even harder. The promised $1.8 billion investment in Belvidere has yet to materialize. The company points to challenging market conditions. Union representatives aren't buying it. Ford and General Motors aren't dealing with the same problems. The company's struggles, they argue, are self-inflicted, and the numbers back that up. GM and Ford are growing sales, while Stellantis is the only one in freefall. And yet, the company spent roughly $2 billion buying back its own stock while cutting more jobs across nearly every division. At the Warren truck plant, more layoffs are on the way, not because models are being phased out, but because production is being moved to Mexico. The same vehicles, just made cheaper. Union workers fear this is only the beginning. After months of speculation, Stellantis confirmed it was expanding production in Mexico. The UAW sees it as a red flag. The company could be quietly pulling all of its US manufacturing out piece by piece. For Detroit, a city whose identity is inseparable from the auto industry, that would be a historic loss. During his campaign, Trump promised to protect American manufacturing jobs through tariffs, including a proposed 25% duty on all goods imported from Mexico. Union representatives are counting on him to follow through, and on Stellantis to honor its contractual commitments. America, they say, needs a strong middle class, strong unions, and good jobs for everyone. In a move that surprised many, Carlos Tavares stepped down as CEO in early December 2024. Stellantis cited differences in strategic views. It may be a sign that the company's leadership is starting to question the path Tavares set and is ready to turn the page. Industry experts largely agree. The window to turn things around in North America is narrow, but it hasn't closed yet, and doing so will require one thing above all else: not more cuts, but real investment. Investing instead of cutting would be a dramatic shift for Stellantis, but it may be the only road back. Ford is already leading by example, committing serious time and money to a new generation of vehicles and an affordable electric car. Painful in the short term, but potentially game-changing down the line. For loyal Jeep customers, it comes down to one thing: they want to buy American vehicles, built in America. And for the workers on the factory floor, the message to the company is the same: keep your promises, invest in your people, it's worth it, for everyone. Hey, check this out. If you enjoyed this video, you might enjoy these ones as well.